All right, hello YouTube. I'm Jeffrey J. Kelly, Chief Instructor of the Xilin Martial Arts Center in Corvallis, Oregon. Today we're looking at the Filipino martial art of Pekiti-Tirsia Kali. Pekiti-Tirsia is an infighting system. We like to get into close quarters. One thing you'll notice about our system that's a little bit different, the rattan stick that we use for practice is 30 inches long. Most infighting systems will use a shorter stick, 20 to 28 inches. If you are at home and you want to find the exact measurements, because everybody's body type is different, you can measure it from your armpit out to the end of your middle finger, and that'll give you the right proportions for your body. The way we hold our stick is to get the proper proportions. You'll start with holding it at the bottom in your left hand, assuming you're right-handed. Okay, and then from there, you're going to curl the stick into your hand with the thumb down. Okay, never do this. Never put your thumb up. Well, you'll do it once, and then you'll never do it again, because when getting hit like that is not a good day. So you want to have your hand closed. We're not going to get into it today, but whenever we do twirling motions, redoublés, we never open our hands. Because the weight of the stick is such that it will allow it to spin nicely, we don't have to open our hands. Other shorter sticks, to get the momentum, you have to open your hands here. Of course, that's dangerous. You can get it knocked out of your hand very easily. The other thing that's very distinctive about Pekiti-Tirsia is we usually leave, as we showed you, about a hand's width here at the butt of the stick. This is known as the puño. Okay, with this, we can control, we can disarm, we can strike. It's very useful. Some other styles criticize this as being easier to disarm, and of course, it may be. Other styles will hold their stick down here and not have it, but you also limit yourself in the striking and controlling areas. So this is the way we use it. Okay, today we're just going to cover the first basic strike. Almost all Filipino martial arts systems, stick systems, Kali, Eskrima, or Arnis, use a 12 angles of attack. Just as a side note, the terms are often confusing. What's the difference between Kali, Arnis, Eskrima? They're used pretty interchangeably. I have my own ideas of which is which. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. A lot of times people just use FMA for Filipino martial arts. Kali is the most ancient name. Comes from the Indian influence during the Visayan Empire. The Mahapajit Empire that stretched from Indonesia down to the Philippines. Arnis is a corruption of the Spanish armas de mano, or armor of the hands. And Eskrima is the Spanish word for sword or fencing. We choose Pekiti-Tirsia Kali for no reason other than sounds good. Okay, so let me quickly demonstrate the 12 angles of attack. So every system has a different 12. Ours are like this. We're going to start with the number 1 angle, strikes the side of the head, the ear. Number 2 comes from the opposite side to the ear. Number 3 to the elbow. Number 4 to the elbow. Number 5 is a thrust. Number 6, a downward strike. Number 7 is the knee. Number 8 is a thrust. Number 9 is a thrust. Number 10 is a vertical strike. And for 11 and 12, we use what's called a bayonet system. Okay, thank you. Hopefully we'll go over each of those angles, particularly the thrust. You'll notice those are done quite differently in Pekiti-Tirsia. But for today, we just want to get the most important strikes, number 1 and number 2. This particular segment will just cover number 1. My main instructor, Tom Bizio, always said that basically in a fight, you're going to use number 1, number 2. And ultimately, the 12 angles of attack, as we study, we can reduce those to 5 angles of attack. And as you gain more mastery, it becomes 3 angles of attack. Ultimately, two angles of attack, and at the very pinnacle of your study, you understand there's only one angle of attack. But that's beyond our take for today. So today we'll start with strike number one. All right, from preparatory position, stick is upright, the left hand is on top. Okay, we're going to use the basic stance. We'll cover in another video. First thing we're going to do is chamber the strike. So you're going to bring the strike back onto your shoulders. Okay, so that it's flat against your shoulder, against the large vertebrae at the base of your neck. The left hand, we call the tapping hand, sometimes called the alive hand, or the weaponless hand, is going to go right here in front of the chest in a kind of C position here. All right, from here, we're going to twist backwards, then come forward and deliver a horizontal strike to the ear. Okay, now it's important that this be horizontal. A lot of systems go directly to the diagonals, and that's fine. We'll get to those eventually, but the advantage of a horizontal strike is it can break a diagonal strike, and we can demonstrate that later. We'll come back, twist, and come forward. Notice, too, that the tip of my stick is higher than my hand. That's a natural body, part of the body mechanics. Also notice that my hand is not in my center line. If I were to strike like this, it leaves my hand open to a counter strike, a vertical strike. So I get this out of the way, and there's a natural angle, so it's easier to counter strike someone. Okay, so we'll try that again. We're going to go stretch back, twist, come forward. Now we're going to add one more piece. As we come backwards, we're going to use the tapping hand to tap. Okay, this is to protect or to grab the weapon, to disarm, to strike. Later in the Spotty Daga, we use this as a knife thrust. So there's many uses of this. So we're going to come here and strike. As we come back, there's a huge opening here. My weapon is really far away from my opponent, so I'm going to fill that gap with a tap. And the tap is not stiff. Tap goes out and back quickly. Okay? So we're coming forward with a number one strike. Come back. One, come back. One, come back. One, come back. One, come back. Okay. The important thing, again, is keeping this flat. If you angle it in the back, you're going to end up in a diagonal. This is much harder to learn, the horizontal strike, so it's worth putting the time into it. The other distinction of what we're doing right now, there are two basic types of attack, two basic rhythms. This one is called a broken attack, broken strike. Broken strike comes out, hits its target, and returns on the same line that it came out on. Hits and returns. Or it hits, the wrist breaks, it comes through to the opposite side. It doesn't strike all the way through. We'll cover that in a minute. It hits here and then comes through. This is extremely useful for attacking the opponent. So if she swings a number one, I can come here and just strike her hand and come back. With a fluid blow, I might get it, I might go through, but here I can really hand hit. It's very easy for me now to change directions here. And also it's more deceptive because when I come back, she doesn't know where I'm going to strike. I can go here, I can go low, I can switch to a thrust. And if I go with a fluid blow, I'm pretty much stuck on this side. She knows I'm going to come back on that side. Okay. All right, so broken number one. Let me just demonstrate from the back a couple of times. So here, you want it nice and flat on the shoulder, twist back, come forward. So you can see the tip is pretty much in line with my shoulder here. Okay, guys, let's give that a try. So starting from here, come back flat on the shoulder, twist, come forward, 1. Tap, 2. Tap, 3. Tap, 4. Tap, 5. Tap, 6. Tap, 7. Tap, 8. Striking the ear. Tap, 9. Tap, 10. Good. Relax. Two important points, maybe even the secret points. This will help you in developing your strikes. Everybody tends to be very stiff in their strikes. You're actually not striking. We're going to stop for a moment. Okay? All right. You're actually not controlling the stick the whole way. All right? What you're doing is you're throwing the stick and stopping it. So you're using your body momentum to throw the stick, and all I'm really doing is stopping it at the end. The tip of the stick makes a nice arc here, but the hand does not. If my hand comes way out here, it's exposed the entire time to a counter strike. So what I'm doing here actually is my hand is moving in a straight, slightly diagonal line. This is all I'm doing with my arm. Okay? So I'm really just going here with the arm, allowing the stick to travel and stopping it at the end. Okay? The tip of the stick moves very fast. It's very hard to counter the tip. The hand moves slow. So that's why our main philosophy in Pekiti-Tirsia is to destroy the weapon, or as some people call it, defanging the snake. It's much easier to hit someone's hand than to try to block their stick when they're using a lot of different motions. But as you can see, my hand doesn't move that much. Okay, so it's much easier to attack the hand. So that's why I want to get through the center so that I'm more protected. Okay? All right, so that's broken. Let's do a couple more just to show the arm movement. So again, twist back. This is where your power comes from. Again, if you're just using the arm, you only get so much power. Here, with a quick turn of the waist and the shoulders, you develop a great deal of power. Okay? All right, ready? And 1, tap, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. You'll see in your practice too, once you develop that relaxation, you can do this all day. Very quickly, we'll cover the left side for you wrong-handed people. Again, starting at the bottom, rolling into your fist. Same principle, flat on the shoulder, twisting back, coming forward, striking your left ear. Regardless, in practice, you want to aim at yourself, even though your training partner may be up here or down here. Just aim for your own ear. So twist, come forward. Tap, twist, twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good. All right, now we want to move on to the second type of motion with the stick. This is known as a fluid blow. This is a much more powerful blow, but it's much less precise. The beginning is essentially the same, or exactly the same. You start up here, you start moving forward. But this time, instead of stopping at your target, you're going to continue through with power over to the opposite side. Okay? So from here, just watch. I'm going to swing through. Okay? So I develop a great deal of power by the waist twist and then come through. Okay? Again, it's not using the arm. My arm is totally relaxed. Okay, would you mind? So, give me a target, please. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, if I just use my arm strength, okay, I can get, sounds good. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to hold this with 2 fingers. So I have no power coming from my fingers from my arms. And I'm just going to use my body to strike the stick. So 2 fingers. Okay, that takes, thank you. Takes absolutely no effort on my part. Okay? Again, you want these to be fast because you don't want to get stuck here. You want to be able to move to the next strike. Okay? So Fluid strikes, very powerful. Everybody likes to get to those quickly, but they're limited. Again, as we said, now you know it's going to come from this side. Okay? And the arm moves slowly. So there's my target. All right, so from here, we're going to load up on his shoulders, chamber, twist back, and flow through with a fluid number 1. Ready? And 1. Now you'll notice I chamber here on my shoulder. That's just for safety. All right, and 2. 3. We're going to still tap as we open up. 4. Okay, we're just swinging lightly as we come back. 5. Keeping it horizontal. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. And notice as I come back, I just gently come back. Left side. Okay, left foot is in front. Allows you to twist back further. Okay, from here, we twist, and 1. 2. Make sure you're not swinging out. Again, that exposes your arm. Your hand is still only making this direct motion. People want to really swing like a baseball bat. That's not the case. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let me demonstrate one point. One thing to remember too, the rattan stick is a practice weapon. It hurts, but you're less likely to break bones because it is flexible. Okay, but it hurts. In combat, if we carried weapons for combat, you'd want to use something more like this. This is an ironwood or Baha'i sword. The difference is, you can see the striking angle is much more concentrated. Rather than being round, it's flat, it's blade-like, and so this will penetrate a lot deeper into particularly bones and joints. But for training purposes, it's very useful to have some sort of blade. You can use a machete, an aluminum sword, whatever you would like. But you want to make sure that when you're striking, first of all, that it's a single edge. You're going to put it on your shoulder. When you come forward, that you're striking with the blade. Okay? It's a waste of time to do this. That's not going to, that's a distraction. That's what we call the tick. But it's not going to break bones. It's not going to end your fight. So I want to come through here and cut with the blade. Okay? Same thing. It's even harder though with this fluid blow. You've got to make sure you go through your target before you break your wrist. Okay? So here it's useful to have a target. You can use a tire hanging from a rope, a dead tree, a post with, say, rope wrapped around it. But it's important to get through here before you break your wrist. Okay? All right. So that's a little demonstration of the number 1 angle. Later in the future, we can also talk about angles of attack in general, but today I just wanted to give you a quick primer on how to do a number 1 strike. Practice at home. You know, as long as you keep the motions correct, you'll be able to pick it up. And in the future, we'll go through the next video. We'll try to cover a number 2 strike. All right. Well, thank you. I'm Jeff Kelly with the Xilin Martial Arts Center in Corvallis, Oregon, and we thank you.